This great man right here created a $1 trillion net worth company and created and popularized much of Florida. Today, I will tell you about the fascinating life of Henry Flagler. When researching, these four things stood out to me about him: the start of Henry's life, the creation of Standard Oil, moving to Florida, and his yearning to connect the Keys. Not much is known about the early life of Henry Flagler. He was born on January 2nd, 1830, in Hopewell, New York, and at the age of 14 he moved from New York to Ohio to join the grain business. This was kind of a failure to start off with, but in the biography posted on the Flagler Museum website, it goes into further detail about his before life of Standard Oil, talking about his failed ventures such as the grain business and the salt business, which he joined later on. This salt business would fail after the Civil War, and according to the biography previously quoted, Flagler would be in the hole about $100,000, which, if you take today's inflation with an 1865 figure like that, it equates to about $1.5 million in debt. Flagler would once again enter the grain business after the salt business and would try to pay all that money back. He would later succeed. But in this grain business, this is where he met our first character, Rockefeller. This is where he and Rockefeller would join and create Standard Oil. Flagler and Rockefeller invested with a brother of Rockefeller's and a man named Andrews to create the company. While Rockefeller, the main man of Standard Oil, would worry about the smaller things, Flagler would be worried about the bigger picture, the financials of Standard Oil. According to an informational magazine called The American, in the September 2008 issue titled The Other Half of Standard Oil, they talk about the major role that Flagler played as an important, influential businessman in the company. On page 74, he lists the important roles that Flagler played in Standard Oil. The article goes on to say, Flagler encouraged Rockefeller to buy out all of his oil competitors, which is the reason for Standard Oil's success. Flagler also knew the transportation industry was extremely essential to their oil business. In the oil business, transporting goods before your competitors was primarily the focus, and Flagler knew a way to dupe the transportation industry to get a lower price for him, charge his competitors even more, and then take a little bit of money on the side as well, creating to millions of dollars in wealth. After this great company started to switch hands from its owners and towards self-sufficiency, as trillion-dollar companies do, Flagler decided to vacation one winter with his dying wife to Jacksonville, Florida, and he loved it. He saw the great potential that it had for the Northerners to be able to come down and vacation during the winter. Flagler created great hotels from St. Augustine all the way down to Miami, starting with the very first one in St. Augustine, as pictured here. It was the Ponce de Leon Hotel. The Ponce de Leon Hotel is now used as the Flagler College on the main campus. The other hotel that I will mention is the Breakers Hotel. It's one of the only ones left that Flagler ever created. It's down in Palm Beach, Florida, where it is still running today, and is one of the fanciest and nicest hotels in all of Palm Beach, with an included golf course and a breakfast brunch menu. So, after the hotels, Flagler switched his ideas to the Keys, where he wanted to connect a railway from Miami to the very end of the Keys. According to PBS, in an article titled Henry Flagler, Mr. Miami, the train would have to span 7 miles of open water just to get to the bottom of the Keys. This is just one of the many things that Flagler had to face in his venture to the Keys. As pictured here, of course it succeeded, but along the way he had to deal with things such as that 7-mile span, and have to deal with hurricanes, which would later be its demise. This railway is often quoted as one of Flagler's least successful endeavors. The railway would finally be complete in 1912. Just 1 year later, Flagler would fall down the stairs of his mansion in Palm Beach and would pass away from his injuries there on May 20th, 1913. The train would later be demolished by a hurricane, ironically just as the problems were, in 1935. I hope you all have enjoyed learning about the life of Henry Flagler. He was a great man who started small, made U.S. Steel, created Florida into what it is today, and attempted a railway to the Keys.